You're listening to the Shaun of the South podcast, brought to you by Food City, dedicated to providing you, their valued customer, with top quality products at the best value every day. From certified Angus beef to locally grown produce and in-store made baked goods, nobody does food like Food City. Find a store conveniently located near you at foodcity.com. Well, not long ago, my wife and I were driving Highway 67 in North Alabama, and we were in our little white plumber's van, we call it. It's called a plumber's van among just her and I because it looks like a plumber's van. And we take this thing to all of the places that we go. And I've done my one-man show all over the U.S., and every time we show up, people are kind of surprised because it's an ugly little van. It's white, and it has covered some miles in its day. And we got the van from a baker. She had a cake and cupcake business, and she got it before the owner before us got it from, I believe, a plumber. So it truly is a plumber's van, but it looks like a LabCorp vehicle. Do you remember LabCorp when you used to have to get drug tested for work to make sure that you're walking the straight and narrow, and that white van would show up to your place of business and they would take samples and make sure that you were drug free? Well, that's what it looks like. So when we show up for me to go perform my one-man spasm for people, it looks like we have arrived to collect a stool sample. And so we have taken that van all over the place, and we eat in that van. We've slept in that van, and most of the time I'm working in the passenger seat while my wife is driving. She drives and she listens to an audiobook on her earbuds, and I work on my laptop, or I'll work on a manuscript, or I will be playing the fiddle in the passenger seat, working on a fiddle tune, and hundreds of miles will go beneath us while I'm working on, a fiddle tune, which drives her absolutely crazy. But I play with the mute on, although she tells me she can hear it quite clearly. And we live in that car. We carry a cooler in the back. We have our entire refrigerator with us. We have our luggage, our hanging clothes, the merchandise that my wife brings to the shows. That is home for us, that white van. I love that van. We've pulled that van over at many a place to just replenish ourselves. And not long ago, I remember we pulled this van over in an abandoned gas station on a rural highway, far, far, far from civilization. And we were going to get something to eat. And so she pulled into that little gas station beneath that overhang. And I crawled out, marched around in the back, and I opened up the back, and I got into the cooler, and I called up front and said, what do you want? You want sandwich meat? Do you want bread? What do you want? And she tells me what she wants. And so I'm getting it into my arms. I'm gathering up the cheese and the sandwich meat and the mayonnaise and the bread. And as I'm gathering this up, our van is, brimming full of stuff and luggage and all that. I thought I saw something drop out of the van, out of the back, and fall on the ground. I couldn't be sure, but I thought something had fallen out. And sure enough, when I looked down on the ground beneath the back bumper, I saw something sitting on the ground, and it was purple. And it was a purple pair of women's underpants. And so I thought, well, my wife's underpants had fallen out somehow. So I put the food down, I stooped to the ground, and I picked up the underpants. In the underpants, it turned out, after my bare hand was touching them, the underpants bore evidence of horrific number 2 on the skid-marked portion of the pants, and it was fresh. Oh, I can hardly talk about this. And I screamed bloody murder. I threw the underpants into the air. My hand was they're going to have to cut my hand off and burn it. And my wife jumps out of the car. She says, "What?" And I said, "I just picked up a pair of soiled underpants and they weren't yours." And she said, "Well, what do you mean they underpants?" I said, "Someone must have thrown them off and left them for, on the side of the road." And she said, she's laughing so hard that it looks like she's going to urinate all over herself. And she says, this is what she said. This was the great bit of wisdom that I learned from this experience. She said in the fit of laughter, "I don't wear purple underpants." So those are the kinds of experiences you have when you're driving along in a white plumber's van and you perform a one-man show wherever they will have you. So I wrote a column about us driving along Highway 67 in North Alabama, and it was about something that I saw that touched me deeply. And it was something that I saw off the highway. It was a large cross, huge cross, standing off the highway, reaching into the sky. And I looked off over at my wife and I said, pull over. I want to, what is that? And we pulled over into this parking area. And this is what happened to me. And this is what I wrote about it. On Highway 67, atop Priceville Mountain, stands the cross of North Alabama. The 120-foot cross stands proudly in the flawless blue sky, overlooking a rural Morgan County. The base of the enormous cross is peppered in Post-it notes, all sizes, all colors, flapping in the autumn breeze, and these notes are prayers for those who visit the cross. Now, the prayers are written with differing standards of penmanship. Some prayers, you can just tell immediately, were written in a teenage hand. They say things like, "God, why do I feel like I'm not enough for myself or anyone? Help me." Or, "Help me not feel so ugly." Or, "Help me make good decisions and not hang out with a bad crowd. Help me love me for me." Or they might say, "Bring my family back together, God." Many prayers are written in Spanish. Others are written in memory of the deceased. And a lot of prayers, a whole lot, are written in childish handwriting. The kind of grade schoolers. One note read, "My brother killed himself." And another read, "Dear God, I prying for you, 'cause who pries for you?" Another note said, "For my kitten to get better." I met a young woman at the base of the cross when I was visiting. It was a clear November afternoon, and we were the only visitors in the giant pasture beneath the towering monument. She was busy writing a prayer on a Post-it notepad. She said she was on her way to the Dollar General, but she had too much on her mind to go to the DG today, so she came here. She said, "I come here a lot. I only started a few weeks ago, but I come all the time." She's a meek woman. She's soft-spoken and kind. And she finishes writing on the Post-it note and sticks it to the base of the cross and holds it there. She says, "We're going through a real rough time right now. Now, see, when I come here, I write my prayers down and I just leave them because that's the whole point. You leave it right here." And she goes on to tell me that her son has autism, and sometimes he has suicidal thoughts. She says her late father had paranoid schizophrenia. She says it's just so much to deal with. She's been shouldering the load for so long, and sometimes it just never lets up, never seems to get easier. "All I know how to do is pray," she says, and there were tears in her eyes. A stranger was talking to me with tears in her eyes, and there were tears in mine too. This woman, after all, looks like she could be my sister, or maybe my cousin. And in a way, we are members of the same family. We both live in Alabama. We might be related. But we're members of a bigger family than that. A human family. She says, "I'm tired of carrying it all myself. You see, that's what I believe this cross right here is for. You put your heavy burdens here, and that's what I'm trying to do." And we hug. I don't know her, she don't know me, but we're right here, right now, in this place, together, and that has to mean something. I admit to her that I've been driving past this massive cross ever since they built it, but not once have I stopped to read the prayers, and I'm a little ashamed by this, which I also admit to her. And she smiles at me. She says, "Don't be ashamed." And then she nods to the monument standing on the hill. She says, "There ain't no more shame." Well, thanks for listening to Sean of the South. I've been your host today, Sean Dietrich, and it has been a true privilege. To find out anything more about what I do, you can visit SeanDietrich.com, or for those who are not particularly good spellers, you can visit SeanOfTheSouth.com, and there you can find out all sorts of information that you didn't know you didn't need to know about me. And while you're there, I hope you take the time to drop me a line. Tell me what's important to you. Tell me what's going on in your life. I'd like to hear it. And in case anyone hadn't told you today already, I love you. Now go say that to somebody else. Have a great day.